Questions I get asked sometimes are, how can midwives work without regulation, without insurance? Some countries require indemnity insurance, and it's discussed as being illegal if a midwife works without that. So let's look at the overarching international human rights law, which provides for the right to private and family life, Article 8. It also provides Article 6, the right to fairness. Article 14 is the right not to be discriminated against. So bringing all these together, a midwife can and does in many jurisdictions provide particularly community-based care. Some of them barter. It's not always about money. There may not be money available. So what do people spend the money on? Whatever those things are, food and accommodation and all sorts of other things, people will trade for a midwife's services. Some people have a lot and some don't have so much. So many midwives have worked very simply in this way. And countries like the UK that have over-regulation, it's very tough, it's very punitive, it tends to not investigate independently, but rather persecute for the profession and the professional development of the people working for the regulator. It's not about the public, the women giving birth, or the nurses and midwives. So midwives can, in other countries, particularly France, for example, have 100 home birth midwives all working without indemnity insurance. The regulator takes no action because there's no insurance available. If insurance is available, but at such a high cost it's not truly available, then that's the same thing, it's not really available. So keep calm, carry on. The defence for any midwife, if they're challenged, and most of the time midwives are thinking, oh, I will be challenged, therefore I won't do this. And the reality is, if they actually carry on practicing, nobody may challenge them. If they are challenged, the defences include, as I mentioned, Articles 6, 8, 14 of the United Nations Convention on Human Rights. So that's the United Nations establishing those human rights. There is a time and a place when human rights are pushed aside, as we can see with the whole COVID response by various governments walking over people's human rights. And actually there is a balance to be struck between the state and the public protection and an individual's liberty and freedoms and human rights. So if somebody had tuberculosis or some other communicable disease like COVID, and they are going to give it to lots of other people, they could be contained and their rights and freedoms restricted. Tuberculosis is a very communicable disease and with a high mortality rate. COVID does not seem to be in the same area as tuberculosis, or certainly not Ebola and some other terrible diseases. So, we've all got our opinions perhaps, but if you're looking to work outside the system, you can, and you can create an alternative system, and many midwives are doing this throughout the world, including in the UK.